Daki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go on like you like son. Red. Keep a fire burning red and a Joshua representing if it comes hard here. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go on like you like son. Red.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you can even money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep, you can even money. When you've been up for a bum, you haven't tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, you haven't tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a kill up this. A 2 pound note and a kill up this. A 2 pound note and a kill up this. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. I know what you can have in money. Oh, Joseph.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in the Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. the people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, we got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow, poor people governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Comes audio son. You burn this wine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes I say them heart no kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, Red Hat.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Ramveld Market Meat Section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. Good morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Yeah, morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is 7 hours 28 on the 9th day of the 9th month in the year 2024. It's the 9th of September 2024. It's 28 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour. Welcome to another program. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. How have you been? How was your weekend? How did you pass your weekend? What happened over the weekend that gave you hope, gave you the desire to face the new days and the new weeks and new months? Looking at the way time is flying, as we like to say, the days are going quickly by. It's like the year or time is on steroids, man. Were you able to rest and recuperate over the weekend? Did you use that God-given skill to earn some extra or to empower someone? Even empower your family. What did you do over the weekend? Did you rock back George? Just say, well, listen, I've been working hard all week. It's time for me to kick some bricks. Just relax. Y'all talk to me. Y'all Laser Johnson are drinking youth soup. You know what's youth soup? Drink some youth soup. Your face gonna fill up a little bit. Hey, morning. Oh yeah. I don't know. There are lots of things on my mind this morning. I really don't know where to start, if I should say that. But like Chelsea Chipper say, share the life. Y'all could start by sharing the life. Share the life, share the life, share the life. Invite people in, let them come in, let's talk. We have a lot to talk about. A comment that is to the forefront of my mind comes from the day Genevieve Whitehead was buried. Her son-in-law said, when you work, I'm paraphrasing, when you work, when you serve your society, when you dedicate your life to serving your society, when you reach that time of retirement, you get there with expectations. You get there with expectations. They say to whom much is given, much is expected. And if we give our society a lot, then we expect a lot from our society. But when we look around this society and we see the people who have made meaningful contributions to the society, to the growth and development of Ghana, to Ghana being what it is now, we ask ourselves why it is they are not honored for their contributions to the growth and development of this society. And I'm talking here about our elders. When you look around this society, you see the ill treatment of our elders. And I know many people are thinking in their minds, yes, their relatives just treat them bad. But I'm talking about the kind of ill treatment that can come from a government. The kind of ill treatment that comes from a government. In any society, a government is supposed to have policies in place to protect the elders, policy in place to caution the elders, policy in place to take care of the elders. And I dare say they're disadvantaged in general. Some people call it social services, some call it a safety net. When we look around the Guyanese society, I dare ask the question, What is wrong with our politicians, especially in government? Have they dropped from coconut trees? Don't they have a semblance of love, a semblance of concern, a semblance of care for the elders who have sacrificed for them to be where they are? This morning, I want us to address the issue of social services in this society. I want us to address the issue of care for the elderly. I want us to address the issue of care for the disadvantaged, care for the mentally challenged. I'm told that since the PPP took office in 2020, it's now 4 years, a little over 4 years. The Minister of Social Protection or Social Services, Vindya Prasad, has not had a singular meeting or singular familiarization tour of the palms. You know the palms? The palms is where many of our elders find themselves for convalescent care. Is that what we call it, or geriatric care? When their immediate relatives can't take good care of them. I'll share with you this morning some images of what obtains at the palms. Some months ago, someone spoke with me about the psychiatric hospital. We like calling the madhouse. Borby's madhouse, the psychiatric hospital. At that time, what I was told is that the government's intention is to close down the psychiatric hospital. Close it down. Dismantle the structure and replace it with something else that they are desirous of constructing. Or perhaps sell the land out, the facility out to one of their friends and cronies. I remember we spoke, I think last year, about them sending people home from the psychiatric hospital to their homes or to their relatives. People who have not fully recovered, people whom their relatives can't take care of, don't have the know-how. Right? Trust me. I remember a young lady committing suicide. I can't remember if she was from Eastville area or she lived in the Eastville area, or they found her, yes, definitely they found her in the sideline trench alongside Eastville. And when I investigated, that she was mentally challenged, and she is one that was sent home from the psychiatric hospital. And within a short period of time, that was her end. A society that cannot take care of its elders. A society that cannot take care of its mentally challenged. A society that doesn't take care of its disadvantaged could never be considered a civilized society. Could never be considered a civilized society. I challenge the government to come out and say what's happening with psychiatric care. Just, I think it was Thursday, A Buxtonian parent visited me with her young son. I think he's 24 years now. He has psychological issues. He has mental health issues. He was referred to the psychiatry department since a young man. Since a young man. And she is now concerned about the quality of care or lack thereof that he's getting. Doctors and attendants are refusing to prescribe medication for him. They're pushing her around and stuff like that. So all of these complaints are pointing to the fact that something is definitely wrong, woefully wrong, over the Ministry of Social Protection or the Ministry of Social Services. I honestly don't know what they call it now. We have had discussions on this program, I'm sure, of people who left the job, social workers who left the job, accusing Vindhya Prasad of being uncouth, of being racial, of being discriminatory, of being all the things that a manager, political or otherwise, ought not to be. Biased, etc. Yes, we have all those allegations, and that is what they are, allegations. It is alleged that that is what she represents. Or how it is that a subject minister would not in any way, shape, or form interact with the managers or the management, the day-to-day workers, even the inmates of a facility that comes under her care for 4 years. 4 years. When somebody becomes a minister, one of the first things they do is try to familiarize themselves with the operation of the entity or entities that they are expected to manage. Let me show you some videos. I'll have a look at this. That's at the Palms. I'll tell you what it is just now. Now, where's the Minister of Labor? Pulori Joe. Why am I calling on the Minister of Labor in relation to this particular video? Because there's something called occupational health and safety. Does the Department of Labor or Ministry of Labor not have a department that focuses on occupational health and safety? A department that is supposed to have officers who go out to facilities, institutions, organizations, departments of the government and elsewhere, and check on the facilities that are available for workers' use and comfort. Wherever you work, you're supposed to have adequate washroom facilities. You're supposed to have adequate drinking water, at least access to those two things. My mind is telling me you're supposed to have access to a lunch area. Those three things. But let me inform you that what you just saw is the nurses' ablution facility, let me say toilet facility at the Palms. That is a nurses' toilet facility at the Palms. Are you hearing me? That is where nurses are expected to go and relieve themselves of bodily waste when they're on the job. Notice this is only one. Well, I can't even call it one. You notice it is falling apart because what we're seeing on the floor there are rotted wood. Where are the occupational health and safety officers? Where are the union reps? These issues are reported to the unions. Where are the union reps? I mean, I've heard all kinds of arguments why the Guyana Public Service Union is toothless and why the Guyana Teachers Union will soon be toothless. Are you telling me there is none? There is none in the Guyana Public Service Union that can even highlight this issue to the public in defense of their membership? I don't care how much they say they're weakened. I don't care how much resources they say they don't have. The fact is, they are still recognized as the workers' representative, and they still collect monthly dues from the workers in the name of representation. So what are these office holders, office bearers, leaders, I can't even call them leaders, of the Guyana Public Service Union doing to represent the staff, in this instance of the Palms Senior Citizens Home, or whatever the right name they call it? Where are the health officers, the inspectors from Pulori Joe's ministry? Why are nurses donning tools? I guess many will say because they ain't got representation, they ain't got backings, and they're afraid of dismissal. I always ask the question, is it good enough just to live, or do we have to pay attention to the quality of life? What's the point of living with a subhuman quality of life? Huh? When the case is asking where are the families of those residents, then the cases sometimes they challenge me. Sometimes you challenge me. Every single one of us is aware that it is not every senior citizen, every grandparent, every parent, every great-grandparent that has the fortune, let me call it that, fortune of being taken care of by their immediate relatives. In many instances, they are not being taken care of by their immediate relatives because they have none, or none close by. In many instances, they're not being taken care of by their immediate relatives because of the constraints faced by those relatives. In many instances, their relatives place them in facilities like the Palms and visit them on a regular. But they can't do much better. The fact that they are in that facility says that everything is not perfect, if I can call it, in the family circle, for them to be taken care of at home. Government has a responsibility to provide such social services, especially for when families fail. And so if a family is failing and a relative is placed in a facility such as those, or such as the Palms, then government has a responsibility to do its utmost for the inmates, the residents of that facility. Let me explain this to you. I don't know, but I heard of a story, I think, of two brothers who loved their mother dearly, but they couldn't take care of her. They opted, by agreement, for her to go to the Palms. They will take turns in visiting her on the weekends. They will take supplies for her when they visit. They will support in whatever way her stay at the Palms. And so we can't accuse them, as some people say, of dumping their mother there, dumping their mother there. They just dump shit there like a whole clot. No. A state facility exists, and they chose to utilize the services of the state facility. Because in their minds, the state facility is supposed to be able to provide the care that their mother needs. I hear people talk all the time about care for the elderly in the US and Canada and the UK and so on, and it's a good paying job and all of that. What do we have in Ghana to compare to that? When the KC asks the question, where are their relatives? The fact is, this is a state-run facility. And with the resources that we have, it is expected that better would be done. Better would be done. Look at this. Are the relatives responsible for this? Are the relatives responsible for managing the facilities? Are the palms? Look at this. These are utensils in the kitchen or somewhere in the palms. Look at that. Are the relatives responsible for the everyday management of the kitchen at the palms? The provision of supplies and facilities to ensure that the utensils used by inmates, residents are properly taken care of, properly stocked and stored, properly sanitized? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me. I want to know if the residents, if the relatives are responsible for that. Talk to me. I want to know. Not so long ago, and not so long ago in this instance was approximately 4 years ago, or let's say 4 plus 5, about 9 years ago, the palms was being properly taken care of. The David Granger government, in as much as Guyanese costs the David Granger government and said Granger never do nothing for the people, the David Granger government under the Ministry of Social Services, the last Minister of Social Service under the David Granger government, as far as I remember, was Abna Ali, took care of people at the palms. The facility was clean. Supplies were in abundance from what I understand. And above all else, they were really concerned about the health and well-being of the inmates, the residents. Because you know what? When you become of a certain age, your diet is important. Your diet determines whether you survive, whether you heal, whether you live, whether you die in long or short time. And so, like the school feeding program, meals for people at the palms were designed by dietitians. The palms currently doesn't have a dietitian. The palms doesn't have a dietitian. And I show you that one toilet. I'm told that wards 3, 4, and 5, there's no toilet for nurses. So if nurses are working in wards 3, 4, and 5, what they are expected to do? In Ghana, we talk about shit and shy. Is that what they expect the nurses to do? Shit and shy in wards 3, 4, and 5? Or they have to run around like headless chicken to find a facility where they can relieve themselves when the time arises. If that's the way the professionals are treated, I can imagine how the inmates are treated. You know what else concerns or worries the staff? There's no security, no proper security. So those who are working nights, etc., are left to the whims and fancies of the inmates and anybody who dare to go in there and challenge them. In this society, we know for a fact majority of our nurses are females. But there is no proper security at the PAMs for medical staff. No dietitian, like I said. And you know what else? In facilities like those, because you will have residents, you'll have inmates who are not healthy enough or strong enough to get off of their beds and go to the ablution area when they feel the urge. So a major supply for facilities like those is Pampers, adult Pampers. There has been none in supply to that facility since Noah was a boy, once the PPP took office. Where are the millions, the hundreds of millions that have been budgeted for the Ministry of Social Protection being spent? Huh? Where? Vinaya Prasad, where the money there? Where you are spending it? Why is the PAMs neglected? Why are the inmates at the PAMs neglected? Somebody said because they're majority black people. They're Guyanese. They would have contributed to the development of this country, this state, in some way, shape, or form. Talk to me. June is asking who is in charge of the PAM. The political head of the PAMs is Vinaya Prasad. All of the professionals who are trained and served that ministry and are well experienced in service in that ministry, in some way, shape, or form, once they are not black, have been discriminated against. Supersession, relegation, discrimination, forced out of office. That is what it is alleged took place in that ministry from 2020 to now. And so what you have in the ministry for the greater part are a set of, yes, people associated with the PPP civic in some way, shape, or form. People who have been plucked off of the street or plucked from some back office of the PPP and placed in that ministry. People who have never spent a day studying. Sociology or what is it they study at the University of Ghana? Social work. So they don't have an iota of knowledge of what should be done in a ministry like that. I guess they just feel that that ministry is a place where you sit and you decide who must get pensions and who old age pension and who must get public assistance and who mustn't get because they are not PPP and so on and so forth. I'm challenging Vidya Prasad to do better, to make our ministry shine. Let me take you to the madhouse, as we usually call it. This photograph is a photograph of someone who is ordinarily an inmate of the psychiatric hospital at Borbies. But like I said, they've been throwing them out. Patient, not inmate. Thank you for that correction. Right? They've been throwing them out. They've been finding all kinds of reasons for getting these people out of the psychiatric hospital. Whether they're cured or not cured, whether they the mental health has improved or not. Y'all be the judge of this government and the Ministry of Social Services. Be the judge. There's another one. They refuse to accept them. Refuse to accept them. Why? Because government got other plans to the facilities. If we can get the patients out, then we can close the facility down. And once we close the facility down, we can transfer it. We can appropriate or misappropriate it for whatever new idea we have in mind. But certainly the idea we have in mind is not to take care of the mentally challenged and disadvantaged in the society, despite the resources that we have. Where are the international agencies? Where are the civil society organizations to stand up in defense of the poor and powerless in the Guyanese society? Where are these folks? Y'all talk to me. I don't know. I'm asking questions. I don't have the answers. I don't think I'm expected to have the answers. But what I can say to you is any government that I find myself a part of will certainly be expected to do better. because I will not rest. I will not sit idly by. I will not be muzzled by my then colleagues in government on these issues. In the meantime, I'm using this platform which I have access to, and while there is free speech in Guyana, because that too is soon to come under attack. By the time Parliament meets again in October, we're going to hear of a different Cybercrime Act, a modified Cybercrime Act that is supposed to shut up all those of us who use this platform to highlight the wickedness and ineptitude of this corrupt criminal cabal called the PPP. I tell you, put aside your cent and your jill and your bits and your dollars and cents, because you will be required to defend me as much as I'm defending the rights of the people of this country. And I know Cybercrime Act not going to shut me up. I guarantee you that one. As a matter of fact, I think the time is now for Guyanese to take to the streets in defense of their freedom of expression. But am I going to hold my breath? No. I ain't going to hold my breath. I will not hold my breath. Because from the look of things, many of us, many citizens of this country, either are living in fear or are comfortable living in abuse. An abuse of the worst kind by this government. Imagine a modification to the Cybercrime Act saying that even if you don't call the person's name, even if you don't identify the person, you just give a general description and somebody believes that you are referring to them, they can go to the authorities and have you arrested. Dexter Halley, I don't want to see it pass. And I don't want to see it pass and then let the PPP see what can come to them. I want the PPP to see what will come to them before it even passes, so they will understand that it ought not to be passed. How about that? We are too reactive in this society. We have to be proactive. It was in Barbados not so long ago, a few months ago, when Mia and our merry band of whoever were attempting to pass a similar act. And the Bajans decided that we will have none of that. And they were organized by a social media influencer like myself. She highlighted it. It was discussed. The society was made aware, and they took to the streets to stop it. And stopped it was, because it has not been passed. I guess they still have it there to be passed, but it has not been passed. Marcia Weeks, yes, that's her name. But in Guyana, people are waiting for the leader of the opposition, Leader Norton. Y'all make people like me feel like we just blowing out here. Because we're offering leadership, but y'all ain't taking it. You know that? Why do we have to wait until a draconian law is passed before we say to the legislators, not my watch, not in my name? That is what you do. You be proactive. You see somebody building on the parapet, against the regulations, you broke it down before it go right up. But Marley said, every time I plant a seed, they say kill it before it grow. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. Sheriff John Brown always hated me. Every time I plant a seed, he said kill it before it grow. So wait. Why are we waiting for seeds to grow? The PPP don't plant the seed, that don't tell you what they intend to do. Why are we still waiting for it to grow? Let it pass it and they're going to see. I've heard that so many freaking times. Every time I hear it, I get scared. Because so far, every time they pass it, they didn't see. So what are we waiting for? You know you got a rapist in your neighborhood. You're going to wait until he rape and sodomize you before you take precautionary measures? You know you got a thief in the neighborhood. You're going to wait until he walk through your unlocked door and steal your valuables before you try to lock it? Is that what we're saying? Let me show you what's happening over the passport office. I'm sure most of you might have seen that video by now because I posted it on my page. Can you imagine that? That's at the Central Immigration Office. And I see on the post, like most of you would have seen, people actually saying that, hey, the government is responsible for that. It is the people who that are responsible for that. Well, you tell me how it is the people who use the facilities are responsible for, number one, providing proper equipment and supplies to maintain the toilet facilities. Y'all tell me that. I want to know. Right? Number one. Number two, I want you all to tell me how it is the people that use the facilities, all the people that use the facilities are responsible for the provision of, number one, proper equipment for the toilet facilities. I want you all to tell me those things. Right? This particular video had 107,000 views on Camps TV. Let me repeat. It has 107,000 views on Camps TV and 413 comments. 413 comments. Let me address some of the issues associated with this post or this situation. If the public walks in to a bathroom facility, especially females, and y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not stereotyping anybody, but females in particular have a certain sense of awareness and fear when it comes to their health. Let me call it sexual and reproductive health, because of the build of their particular body part that they use to excretion. It is easy for them to pick up infections if they utilize a dirty bathroom facility. And say what happens. A female who wants to urinate badly steps into a facility like that, and the seat is dirty. All I see there is the bowl. You didn't see the toilet seat. The seat is dirty. The most of them going to squat. They're going to squat. And when they squat, the likelihood it is going to add to the spills in the washroom facility. A man walks in there and he sees it as being dirty. He can stand as far off as he can and he can point. And spills will contribute to the dirty state of that washroom facility. You know what is the other thing I noticed? I don't know, I'm asking. You mean to tell me, is that one washroom for all them thousands of people that has go to the immigration office on a daily? How do you expect? Because people are saying that, hey, where the cleaner there, the cleaner responsible. How do you expect a cleaner to keep one facility, one bathroom, one cubicle clean on a regular when thousands of people are using it daily? I'll talk to me. I want to know. I want to know. The big international airport is no much different to that which we're seeing there. It's no much different to the palms that we just saw. It's no much different to any public entity. Washroom facility. It says that the government, it says that the administrators of those entities do not place much emphasis on maintaining a clean and tidy sanitary facility for members of the public. As a matter of fact, some of them just don't got. Some of them just don't got. all over this country, all over this city. You go, and I saw the other day a customs officer being named and shamed, eventually suspended from his job for pissing in public. The government should be ashamed of that. The one thing I disagree with him is that he was rude to the police. To tell the police, I would piss in your mouth. Where you want to piss? If I can't piss here, I would piss in your mouth. But the absence of facilities create these situations and these frustrations, because it was a simple case in my mind of that customs officer expressing his frustration. Let me tell you, I can tell you personally, I know of a villager who died. I think he died last year, or late last year perhaps. The guy we used to call Bling. He was in the transportation business. When I heard that young man got sick, and we were in, Gaffin, Tom and son. And he said, what happened to you, boy? He said, but I tell you what. I was coming from Linden. A hot piss holds me. And I'm using language you all understand, because there's a way to start. A hot piss had me, boy. And I say, hey, listen, I going to drive until I reach somewhere where I could go in and piss. I end up in Georgetown. Took ill and was rushed to the hospital. The doctor tell you is the piss that he hold in. I don't know what is the but some kind of shock he ended up with. Medical people could tell me what happened, but they said the piss that he hold in threw him in shock. As a result of that, he was given medication, the type that would get him to pass the liquid sepsis. Robin says. He never recovered. He died. A young man died because he couldn't comfortably find some place to piss. In a country that boasts of being the fastest growing economy, in a country that has resources that brings it millions of US dollars on a monthly basis. Did I tell you, I got for you my car shy glance. I am not the kind of person who could stand at the roadside and piss comfortably. Not because I fear them taking out my photograph like they did Patterson. But it's not part of my upbringing. And so it's a mental thing for me. And there's several times when you are around the city, you have business to do around the city, and you cannot find the facility to relieve yourself. You go into public places, they tell you the washroom is for staff only, or the washroom ain't functioning. You're going to businesses and they tell you they ain't a washroom. I personally remember, as a youngster growing up, without access to the kind of money that we have in this country right now. Because I grew part of my life in Kitty, and so we used to walk down. I went to St. George's Primary. We used to walk many mornings or afternoons. I did tour from school. And I will always remember that at Parade Ground, Carmichael Street, there was a public washroom facility there. It had at least 3 cubicles. Them time the flushing system was a chain you used to pull. And they didn't got the kind of access to resources it had now. Right up Carmichael Street at the junction of Carmichael and Lamaha Street, there was another one there. So you had one at the junction of Carmichael and Lamaha, and then you had one over Carmichael and Middle. Border Market had a sanitary block. Starbrook Market had a sanitary block. Demico, you could have gone to Demico outlets and used their washroom facility. The last time I tried to use Demico washroom facility, the guard would ask me if I get a bill if I bought anything. So I had to ask the guard, what about those times when I buy things and I don't use the washroom? Is this a modern society we're living in? You mean to tell me that this file saying loving, caring because we care not, government cannot invest a few $1 million, even a few $1 million, to first and foremost ensure the public has access to bathroom facilities at government offices or government facilities, and then put some in public places. We're talking about tourism. We're talking about Ghana as a tourist destination. Which tourist wants to come to a country where you step into a public washroom when you could find one and it stinks to the heavens? The inhalation of ammonia alone is going to cost you big money because you're going to get health issues. Don't tell me. And I'm saying start with public, with government places. Because if you have them in government places, then at least the public can feel comfortable going to those places to access them when the need arises. No. Even in our educational institutions, you're hearing that schools can be opened because the sanitary block has problems. Where the goest social services in this country? Where is the concern for our citizens, elderly and young alike? Where is the concern for those people that we're inviting here to come back home to develop this country? Where is the concern for those people we're calling here to become tourists? Where is the common sense? Where is the decency in the minds of those who call themselves leaders in this country? The lines are opened. It's 22 minutes, 28 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. You're tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time. Call and let's talk about it. Share your experiences. I would like to understand what's happening in this society. And I'm repeating, any government, I should find my partner, myself a partner, must address these things in quick time. Call it life. They're the little things. They are low-hanging fruits.
Good morning, everyone in the Guyanese diaspora. Good morning to all Guyanese, wherever we are. The PPP, with this new Amendment Act, as I said before, is an attempt at persecuting the public. And persons must frame their complaints as government-sanctioned persecution. Persecution is a legal term in the United Nations, in the Guyanese law, in the CARICOM law, in the Commonwealth law, and the United States Congress. Now, so rather than us using wasteful words, let's frame our complaints under the headline of government-sanctioned persecution. So the courts or the watchdog groups can know exactly where you want to direct your complaint. So don't allow your complaints to be vague and ambiguous and all over the place. Now the PPP is going to try to say that security trumps all. So that's why you hear Nandalal trying to stitch the narrative along the lines of threats and security. That's the common thread. He's claiming that person's security and safety has been threatened. My question is, what about the public's security? I have a right to free speech, and if you threaten that speech, if you take away from that speech, then you're subtracting from my security because you are taking away my freedoms. And anytime a government takes the position to deny the people their freedoms, they're denying the people the freedom and the security to speak freely. So we have a security interest, which the government has traditionally, the PPP have traditionally been on the campaign to deny. When they denied us 20 years of local government elections, the government has a track record of denying Guyanese citizens our personal freedoms. And those freedoms are secured, and when they are denied, then that's an attack on our security aspect. Because we have a right to be secured in our freedoms. Is that right? That's correct. So we want to understand, we don't need to be all over the place. They're claiming security, and we're also claiming security threats. And they have the longest and most reckless record of trampling on the security of Guyanese people, death squad killings. I'm just lining up so to give you ideas. They are continuing in the same theme. So that's what we got to back them up. Now, this thing about public toilets. Mr. Amsterdam, what, 2 weeks ago, I spoke about standards. And I don't know if the Guyanese lawyers, Pauline Chase and them in the Guyanese Bar Association understand how to go attack the government legally. Or they think because most of us don't know, so they could get away with accepting poor standards as the Guyana Bar Association. So if, Mr. Amsterdam, everything you said this morning has to do with poor standards, from the country madhouse to the different institutions around the place, on Brick Dam, the Palms, or wherever that may be, those are all standards. Nurses having to use those facilities. Those are all poor standards that need to be dealt with at the National Bureau of Standards. Let me ask this rhetorical question, Mr. Amsterdam. What is the purpose of the National Bureau of Standards when it comes to food handlers, when it comes to transportation, when it comes to how the hospital is handled, or import, export commodities and items coming into Ghana for sale? Who regulates those things? Those things, according to my knowledge, are regulated by the Bureau of Standards. Everybody has to get some type of approval from the Bureau of Standards, even the barbecue lady, fish and fry. Everything in Guyana has a standard, and the Bureau of Standards regulate what the standards must be. And because they are falling below those standards, it's in the best interest of us Guyanese citizens who are in the receiving end of poor standards to take the Standards Bureau to task. See, that's where you start. Lawyers, that's where you start. And I'm putting this on lawyers because either lawyers know and they're pretending that they don't know, or they're making us idiots. Right? So we got to get the lawyers, they got to pull their socks up. They got to tighten up because they are the go-betweens. See? Chinese restaurants or any restaurants, the poor standards, that has to be fixed. President Jack Deal and the PPP are waging an attack, getting back on this Cybercrime Act or the cyber laws. So that means police officers and East Indian PPP supporters and private sector supporters and African Guyanese we're going to have a real problem using the internet. So PPP supporters and private sector people, they're going to have to watch what they say. Are they going to sit around? The police officers and the GDF who are always on these internets and texting and whatnot, are they going to stand around and allow the PPP just because they're in office to do what they want to do? And a police officer, no matter what rank and file, Higgins and his son and them going to be on the internet. They're going to allow people to just do what they want to do. But I'm just using Higgins as a poster child for police officers. But maybe that's a bad example. But police officers should not stand by and allow these things to happen. Because the PPP has no right to claim that they are protecting an imaginary security issue. At the same time, they're subtracting from our everyday use. So you mean we can't speak freely? We can't have a right to have a political disagreement online? People say all types of things about Donald Trump. You don't see them getting locked up in America, in the UK. So why should it be any different? We are human beings in Guyana as well. So clearly the PPP are showing themselves to be the greatest deniers of human liberties. It's not a Guyanese issue. This is a world issue. This is a human issue. If Americans and Canadians and other people in Africa are allowed to use free speech without being censored, then why is it any different in Guyana, where we're all human beings? Why should it be any difference? Do Guyanese in Guyana have different attributes as human beings? So why aren't we using the same standards? That's what we must ask the people. And let them show the international community that the people in America are more deserving for a better standard of liberty.
All to wrap up.
Than the Guyanese in Guyana. Once again, thank you for accepting the call, Mr. Amsterdam. Those are the standards, and we must deal with the standard bureaus to start. Thank you for accepting the call.
Thank you for your call. The lines remain on 622-5933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. Thank you, Ronald, for visiting the Cash App. I want more of you to visit the Cash App too. Call your life.
Morning, Kadaki. About toilet facilities. It's a law here in Florida that once you got a public facility, be it a restaurant, a little gas station or whatever, it's against the law for you to refuse a person to use that toilet. That person don't have to purchase something. You know, one of the reasons for is that a government or be it local or be it whatever cannot set up the amount of public facility around a city or around a town or around a village to be used. And they see it as a serious issue if a person don't get to use the toilet. My son was home there a couple of months ago, and he make a mistake and drink the water. I'm not tell you the rest what happened to him. He said he barely made it into a gas station somewhere in Mahika. He said, barely made it in there. An ex-friend ended up in the same situation. He had to run into a bush. He said, thank God he had a white t-shirt in his bag and he was able to use it to clean up himself. And that is just one of many stories, right? But they're busy spending money on cybercrime crap instead of putting laws in place, right, that allow people to use facilities. The next thing, when you're building a facility, there is a formula that you use for providing toilets, urinals, etc. But, you know, they're not interested in that. They just want to continue to spread the dictatorship arm. And if people are going to sit and take this, wait on Norton, wait on Mr. Hughes and wait on Dr. Hines and what's that to come out and fight for them, y'all sit down and wait. This is your problem. This is the problem that's going to affect every one of them. You ain't got to wait on nobody. Get out there and do what you got to do. You continue to take this dictatorship, I'm going to say it again. You people are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. That is what they're suffering from. Nothing more than Stockholm syndrome. It's time you stop waiting on somebody, either the guy, invisible guy in the sky, or some demigod to come and fight for you. Get up and fight for yourself. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your call. Lines remain. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, are you morning? Oh, the morning, are you morning? Morning, neighbor, morning. Listen. One of them early morning. Early morning idiots try to jump the gun. It's not the calling thing yet. I know you're listening. I ain't gonna call your number so nobody gonna harass you. But it ends in 6-8. So I know you're listening. What you could do is call me when the line's open. So I'm gonna tell you if I'm a toilet politician. Or I could give you appropriate answers. Morning, I am man. You know what I do? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It is now 7 hours 39 on the 10th day of September in the year 2024. How you been? How was your yesterday? Have you seen anything that gives you hope? I've seen a lot of things that would make me feel hopeless in this country, but I believe in hope. I am a positivist. I always try to see the positive in things. So I'm always hopeful. But that doesn't stop me from my sacred duty of highlighting what's wrong with our society and what's wrong with the people in our society and encouraging change. A lot of people seem to believe that it is okay to accept things as they are. And as long as they're prepared to accept things as they are, we're not going to get the changes that are necessary for the growth and development of our society. Some people believe that it's okay for the likes of Anil Nandlal and Irfan Ali and the rest of the PPP, Tifin and corrupt cabal to do as they like with the resources of the people, use the resources of the people to further oppress the people. And the people must roll over and accept all of the oppressiveness, all of the oppression, and say nothing. It cannot be acceptable. I will not accept it. And I am encouraging citizens every single day, do not accept it. But Marley made it popular in the song, give them an inch, they take a yard. Give them a yard, they take a mile. The more unacceptable behavior you accept from people, the more they will poke their fingers in your eyes. Sometimes you don't bad up because you're a bad-minded person or you're a bad character person. Sometimes you bad up so people understand that you're not prepared to take their foolishness anymore. Let me give you an analogy. The Bible says, parents provoke not your children to anger, blah, 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 blah. Children, honor thy parents that thy days may be longer. It gives two instructions in a family. Parents, respect your children as individuals. Respect them as humans. Respect them as God's creation. Don't provoke them to anger. Don't push them to anger. And at the same time, it says, parents honor your children honor your parents. Many of us use the part that says, children, honor your parents, that your days will be longer. And by that we are saying it is okay for parents to be abusive to children, because children are not human beings. Children don't have rights. Children don't have emotions. Children are bricks and sticks, so you can pelt them around, you can kick them around, you can slap them around, you can abuse them, and they're not expected to act up in any way. They're not expected to push back in any way. But physics tells me that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The force with which you pelt a ball to the wall is the force that it is going to be returned to you with. The way you treat your children for the greater part is the way they will react to you. The energies you give them is the energies they will give you. But when parents mistreat their children, and their children react, then everybody in the family says the children are disrespectful because it's the parents. Parents don't wrong. Very few of us going to say, but we'll ask the question, but what did the parent do to cause the child to react like that? That's the question. What did the parent do to cause a child to react like that? Until we do that kind of investigation or interrogation, whichever you want to call it, we will not understand the context of the behavior of the child. All we will do is see, as people say, you see second bell, you hear second bell, you didn't hear first bell. So you see a rebellious child. You didn't see the conditions that led to the rebellious child. Or you chose to turn a blind eye to those conditions. That is what is happening in this society. Let's transfer that same analogy to governance. Democracy says it's government by the people for the people. It means, and there's some tenets of democracy that says, say the people must be consulted, for example. The tenets that say justice delayed is justice denied. The tenets that say if your government is not working for you, put them out of office. But nobody sees that, or nobody wants to accept that, especially when they're in government. They only see the aspect that says government is responsible for law and order. In an ordered society, the laws are there to maintain law and order. If the laws are not adhered to, then you will get anarchy. You'll get a lawless society. And so everybody holds that as the standard. Citizens must obey the law at all times. Citizens must obey the law at all times. But that is not what my learning of what democratic practices are. Citizens must have freedom of speech. Citizens must have a right to complain. There must be institutions in place to ensure citizens' rights are not eroded. But the politicians, the powers that be, those who sit at the seat of power, do not see that. They only see that you must obey the laws. You must do as they say and not as they do. And I want to say this morning. From where I sit, I have a sacred duty. You have a sacred duty. We all have a sacred duty. To resist any government that is oppressive to you, oppressive to us, oppressive to this society. It's a sacred duty. It's a democratic tenet. We should stand on that pillar of democracy, the right of citizens to resist undemocratic behavior of the governments. Yesterday, somebody said the Protestants must have leadership, or you're going to end up with anarchy. And my response was, and still is, maybe anarchy suits the cause. Maybe anarchy suits the cause. And for those who are concerned or will be concerned that I am saying on this program this morning, like I said yesterday, maybe anarchy suits the cause. Anarchy, definition: a state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority or other controlling systems. A state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority or other controlling systems. Isn't Guyana a society that is teetering on the edge of anarchy? Show me the order in this society. Show me the order. Show me the good behavior of those that sit in power. The behavior the likes of the PPP lead force people to not recognize authority. Let me break it down for you. When you have a society where the police force is controlled by political instructions and edicts, why should citizens respect and follow the instructions, even the demands, the commands of functionaries of that police force? I just went for a stroll around the block, and as I am coming down the public road, I saw a red SUV. A red SUV. The traffic was starting to build up. Vehicles in line making their way to the city. Ghana is a left-hand drive road, so everybody's on the left. Heading to the city, what we call what? The Southern Carriageway. The Northern Carriageway is left open usually for vehicles coming from the city heading east. And when the opportunity presents itself, those who are heading west to overtake. Here is a red SUV. Police horns, as we say, blaring. Flying down the Northern Carriageway. Now, I don't know how many of you have paid attention to what has been happening in this society since 2020. Every Tom, Dick, Harry, John, and Jane related to the friends, favorite, and families of the PPP now has a police horn and flashing red and blue lights on their vehicle. And so when the traffic becomes congested and they feel like they don't want to wait, which is almost all the time, they turn on their lights and they blare their horns and they force others who are suffering in the fumes and fuming in the long lines of traffic to pull off of the road so that they can have their way. Now, when you recognize that is what is happening in a society, should you ordinarily pay attention to and respect those blaring horns and flashing lights when you see them? Especially when they are on vehicles that are not ordinarily identified as vehicles of the discipline services, disciplinary and emergency services. Let me put it together. So when I see a Primo or a 192 or a Fielder flashing coming through and honking horns, should I even consider moving my vehicle from where it is to allow them passage? The friends, favorite, and families of the PPP will tell me yes. I will tell you, citizens have a sacred duty to stand their ground until the authorities can do the just and correct thing, and that is ensure only emergency and discipline services vehicles are so outfitted. Yeah, I'm expecting you to tell me ministers of government's vehicles should be outfitted too. No, I don't know the law provides for that. I know that ministers of government or operatives of the government, let me make it wide, on official duties should be escorted by a police outrider. And so if they should be escorted by police outriders, then there is no need, as far as I know, there is no provision for their vehicles to bear those paraphernalia, if I can call them that. Perhaps Barbara, I don't have time for ignorant people, especially when they are hiding behind avatars, because that is exactly what they are, avatars. Good riddance. Go back into your car now and stay under your dirty mud. Citizens have a sacred duty to resist that form of oppression, that form of discrimination. And I have no apologies for saying it. And it becomes anarchy or anarchic when citizens stand their grounds and refuse to move their vehicles because every Tom, Dick, Harry, and John got a siren on theirs. When it becomes a problem big enough for the police, big enough for the authorities, big enough for the politicians, they will do the right thing. Anarchy sometimes is the answer for the kind of chaos that governments like the PPP create. I have no apologies for saying that. When you have an attorney general, the government legal officer, or the top government legal officer, hinting to the citizenry, and hey, in a few mornings from now, we are going to be passing laws that will take away your freedoms of expression. Citizens have a sacred duty to prepare themselves to resist that form of oppression. If somebody makes a post on social media and doesn't call somebody's name but gives description that may suggest it's a particular person, then that person has the right of complaint and the authorities have a right to investigate and punish. And anybody who shares that post is just as liable as the person who made that post. When you hear of such, I don't know, barbaric nonsense being proposed to curtail your freedom, you have a right to resist. And so every citizen has a right to disregard any such amendment in the Cybercrime Act and continue to speak their truth. Every citizen has a right to resist. And that in itself will lead to an anarchic situation. And maybe force the criminals that be to revisit their amendments. As a matter of fact, like I said, that resistance ought to have started since yesterday, or since the first utterances coming out of the mouth of that oppressor. And if you think that I'm being emotional about these utterances, and I don't know what I'm talking about, I want to point you to Rick Ford Burke's page, where he has an article that says that top US government officials are alleging that Guyana's top legal officer, the government's top legal officer, is misrepresenting the UN's draft on cybercrime, is misrepresenting it. Because I want you to go back to the pronouncements that were made locally. I shared those articles with you, I think last week. Yeah, definitely last week, Friday perhaps. Where it was said that the Law Reform Commission can complete the amendments by October, when Parliament is scheduled to meet again, for the mere fact that members of the Law Reform Commission were participants at a conference of some sort held by the UN to address these issues. And so they're prepared, they're fresh in their minds, and they can get the job completed. But here it is. Top US or UN officials are saying a total misrepresentation of what was proposed and is proposed by the UN. Why citizens should adhere to any edicts of an institution led by such a person who is happy to misrepresent in order to oppress the citizens of the country. Resistance is a sacred duty. And I have no apologies for that. I was told by one of our erstwhile friends, Mr. Amsterdam, saying anarchy might be the answer on your platform, might be putting a bullet, my word, in the chambers of the PPP, because they can go to Parliament and argue that such sentiments have made it necessary for them to do just what they're proposing to do. Well, here, old people say, when go chitwa roll, you wait for breeze. And I say, when people make up their mind, there is absolutely nothing you can do to change what their opinions are. And so the PPP already decide. The top legal officer already decide that they will go to the National Assembly with a slim majority and they will make amendments to the Cybercrime Act that will punish citizens for exercising their freedom of speech. And so to use my utterances as an excuse, they're welcome to. But the fact is the fact. My utterances are a direct response to their proposals. Let me share with you. I'm not going to get the time to go through every aspect. As a matter of fact, I'm being educated here. My language is too wide. When I spoke about sirens and lights and other such paraphernalia on vehicles, it says only emergency vehicles, fire, ambulance, and police. And so the law does not, note, the law does not make provision for even the vehicles used and operated by the Guyana Defense Force or the Guyana Prison Service to have sirens and lights. Police, fire, and ambulance. So when you see all kind of Tom, Dick, Harry, John, James, red SUV, 192, security vehicle, all of them running around this place, flying around this place with those, so on. You have a sacred vehicle, a sacred duty to stand your ground. If you see police, if you see ambulance, if you see fire service, then you also have a responsibility to get out the way. Yeah, they can come to you. One of them came to me one time and said, like, you're an ass. Why don't move the F vehicle off the road? I got aware that I just developed speech impediment. It has become deaf, mute, and all kind of things. So you can imagine me just looking at that person and wondering if they know what I'm thinking. Right? Anarchy sometimes is necessary to respond to excesses in a society. Like somebody said, it might be nature's way of reordering the society. I was about to share with you, and I'm encouraging you to ensure you go get a read of what the Draft United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime says. It's a big document. I think it's 41 pages. Right? According to this, it was released or compiled on the 7th of August, 2024. Under the theme Strengthening International Cooperation for Combating Certain Crimes Committed by Means of Information and Communications Technology Systems and for the Sharing of Evidence in Electronic Form of Serious Crimes. Right? Let me read the preamble. I will read the preamble and stop there. The states parties to the present convention, bearing in mind the purposes and principles of the Charter of the United Nations, agreed at referendum, noting that information and communication technologies, while having enormous potential for the development of societies, create new opportunities for perpetrators, may contribute to the increase in the rate and diversity of criminal activities, and may have an adverse impact on states, enterprises, and the well-being of individuals and society as a whole. Concerned that the use of information and communication technology systems can have a considerable impact on the scale, speed, and scope of criminal offenses, including offenses related to terrorism and transnational organized crime, such as trafficking in persons, smuggling of migrants, illicit manufacturing of and trafficking in firearms, their parts, components, and ammunition, drug trafficking, and trafficking in cultural property. Convinced of the need to pursue as a matter of priority a global criminal justice policy aimed at the protection of society against cybercrime by, inter alia, adopting appropriate legislation, establishing common offenses and procedural powers, and fostering international cooperation to prevent and combat such activities more effectively at the national, regional, and international levels. Determined to deny safe havens to those who engage in cybercrime by prosecuting these crimes wherever they occur. Stressing the need to enhance coordination and cooperation among states by, inter alia, providing technical assistance and capacity building, including transfer of technology on mutually agreed terms to countries, in particular developing countries, upon their request, to improve national legislation and frameworks and enhance the capacity of national authorities to deal with cybercrime in all its forms, including its prevention, detection, investigation, and prosecution, and emphasizing in this context the role that the United Nations plays. Recognizing the increasing number of victims of cybercrime, the importance of obtaining justice for those victims, and the necessity to address the needs of persons in vulnerable situations in measures taken to prevent and combat the offenses covered by this convention. Determined to prevent, detect, and suppress more effectively international transfer of property obtained as a result of cybercrime, and to strengthen international cooperation in the recovery and return of proceeds of the crimes established in accordance with this convention. Bearing in mind that preventing and combating cybercrime is a responsibility of all states, and that they must cooperate with one another, with the support and involvement of relevant international and regional organizations, as well as non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, academic institutions, and private sector entities, if their efforts in this area are to be effective. Recognizing the importance of mainstreaming a gender perspective in all relevant efforts to prevent and combat the offenses covered by this convention in accordance with domestic law. Mindful of the need to achieve law enforcement objective and to ensure respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms as enshrined in applicable international and regional instruments. Acknowledging the right to protection against arbitrary or unlawful interference with one's privacy and the importance of protecting personal data. That's the preamble. General provisions. The purpose of this convention are to promote and strengthen measures to prevent and combat cybercrimes more efficiently and effectively. Promote, facilitate, and strengthen international cooperation in preventing and combating cybercrime, and promote, facilitate, and support technical assistance and capacity building to prevent and combat cybercrime, in particular for the benefit of developing countries. For the purpose of this convention, information and communications technology systems shall mean device or group of interconnected or related devices. Electronic data shall mean any representation of facts, information, or concepts in a form suitable for processing in an information and communication technology system, including a program suitable to cause an information and communication technology system to perform a function. Traffic data, content data, service provider, these are some definitions. Good. But I want you to, at a glimpse, there. Determine in your minds, and like I said, take the time and find the convention and read it. Find the convention and read it. Because as far as I can understand from reading the preamble and those few first clauses, where your top legal government officer is heading, is certainly not where the convention intends to him or them to head, because right there in the preamble it says, recognizing the importance, can't remember the exact thing, but let me go right back to it so you can get it. Acknowledging the right to protection against arbitrary or unlawful interference with one's privacy. Mindful of the need to achieve law enforcement objectives and ensure respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms as enshrined in applicable international and regional instruments. Is your freedom of speech considered a fundamental right? And if so, and your country's top legal officer is proposing to infringe on that freedom of speech, what is your duty? You have a sacred duty to resist. And if anarchy is a result of that resistance, then so be it. Then so be it. But your sacred duty, our sacred duty, is to resist such oppression, such impositions. And I have no apologies to make for that. The lines are opened. It's 8:15. The one who was wondering if I'm a toilet politician can call now so I can appropriately respond. 6225923 is the line to call, is the number to call. Call you live.
Hello, good morning, Brother Kalaki. Good morning to the rest of Guyana. Well, as it relates to that cybercrime proposed legislation, I already give my position on that. No nation around the world tries on the suppression of, or let me say the suppression of freedom of expression. Any nation embarked on such activity, they tend to be alienated by the international community. And Guyana will be no different. Again, every day, did you see what's going on in Venezuela? The same thing in Russia, and North Korea, and all these other countries. And so it is only time for you to see economic and other sanctions coming to Ghana if that legislation is passed. The United States in particular do not condone such acts. I think it is in the Freedom of Expression Act, I think it's Fourth Amendment privilege, or something like that. It gives you the freedom of expression where you can freely, you're not going to say things that are harmful against the state, but it gives you the right to freely express yourself and express yourself and so on. I want to add a new thing to the discussion this morning, in that it seems to be a new thing in crime in Guyana, particularly in the city, where there are a lot of drive-by. And I want to caution first that when you're moving around in the evening or during the day, you got to be cautious of movement, because I think it was up to the night before the last 2 nights ago, there's been drive-by shooting in the city. And we have to take caution of our movements and be very careful. Okay then, thank you very much for allowing me.
Thank you for your call. Lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Let me tell you that Club Twilight presents Friday Laughs with Chow Pow and Jumbie Jones. Friday, September 27th. The doors open at 7 p.m. Admission is easy on the pocket. Only $500, and then there's open mic for the brave. So you're not only going to be entertained by Chow Pow and Jumbie Jones, but you also will get the opportunity to take to the stage and share your laughs. It's like a comedy karaoke, a karaoke of comedies. Why don't I call it that? Call it live.
Yes, good morning to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good morning to you and all my African brothers and sisters in Guyana. Let me start out by saying these words. We black people in Guyana, we have to love ourselves and love our money. And then we will see change in Guyana. Number two, it is time for us to stop focus on what other countries doing. They represent their constitution by protesting and stop the ignorantness in their country. We have to do the same. We have to come out together. When we fight together, we will win together and stop the rubbish that the Kodi people government is doing. That's why I would always call them by the identity Kodi. No one can stop me. I know what I'm saying. And let me say this, what my grandmother teach me. She said, Kodi people love these things. Power, money, land, and they love to kill black man. And they will always talk it on your program until you stop me. Because I have to represent your program, not my program. It's your program. You see, when Anil come out with that rubbish, but what you going to do? Where are the lawyers them to come out? All the lawyers them. They got about 50,000 lawyers. Where are them to come out? And encourage folks to come out and join them to say, this nonsense must stop. Like you said, Barbados, right. But if it's citizen, come out and say, hey, this nonsense that must stop. What's wrong with you guys? We paying you your check. We are the working people. You only representing us. But we are the same. You know what? What I could figure out. The lawyers, they're glad when this law come out. Why? Because they're going to make money from poor people. Because the Kodi people them go target only black folks with money, especially poor people too, who don't have, but don't have to find money to take a lawyer. When the coalition around the time started that nonsense with that law, I could remember Mark. Mark said out, either he called or he talked to Ramdatan. Mark could call him back and verify that the guy does do it. That he begged Ramdatan not to do it. And Ramdatan go ahead, coalition, AFC Ramdatan. Brother Pastor London, he said on Mr. David program too, he said part of that law that if any citizen wants the president too strong, he could get them arrested and jail. What happened to all these lawyers then? Them ain't see the same thing what Mr. Mark see and Mr. Daniel, or them willfully left it to go to get rich after the same. Now we're crying out. The Kodi man have stand up in Parliament. Give me 2 more minutes. These are the words in Parliament. What are you doing for our people? The most ridiculous, stupid statement coming out from them Kodi management and MP. No country, no government not supposed to do that. But why do for our people? No. That's why we have to always mention Bonham. And it's time for black people to stop taking nonsense from them Kodi government. Because Bonham was a master for all. He opened the door for all, not for black man alone. Desmond Prasad, They will possibly even give only more than black man. Check history. Granger percent. Do for more for them. Because everything that you call plan, David Granger always said yes to. And last night, I was so mad when Granger talking this garbage pan mark show that he rigging and all these things coming out. You see all this nonsense. When you give up office, Mark must start bringing Granger for open wounds. It is too close to election. Don't let Granger come and talk them rubbish that and get people to run away from voting time. Granger hurt us. He hurt us terrible, but we forgive him. But don't bring him back on the program for talking about all this rigging. Why the hell you give up office? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your call. Lines remain open 6225923 is the number to call. By way of clarification, I think yesterday, Coffee was asking about the Bureau of Standards. In one fell swoop, I think he is saying, listen, the Bureau of Standards is responsible for all of these things. Let me just say that the Bureau of Standards, as I know it, the Bureau of Standards is responsible for some of the things he mentions, like imports and so on. There are different departments of government that are responsible for different things. For example, the Food and Drug Analyst Department, as far as I know, is responsible for people who are importing food and drugs, like it says, and even manufacturing food and drugs locally. Of course, my belief is that they will have to work in conjunction with the Bureau of Standards on that. Public utilities, light, water, telephone, maybe public washrooms. There's a Public Utilities Commission that is responsible for that. I think the Public Utilities Commission is located somewhere in Queenstown. I've had reason to go there on several occasions in the past to complain. They're slow, but sometimes they just get something done. Not usually to your satisfaction, but they just get something done. So there's the PUC, which is responsible for public utilities. Bureau of Standards, like I said, responsible for stuff like hardware and stuff like that, usually imported electronics and things like that. Food and Drug Analyst has to do with exactly that. The Ombudsman is a point of complaint. You can go and complain to the Ombudsman, but I think that, and it has to do with government behavior. Government behavior. I can't tell you exactly all of the different agencies but my point is there's no singular agency that you can turn to address the issues. There's no singular agency that you can turn to address the issues. Call it live.
Yes, good morning. I hope you would give me a hearing to express my views also.
So long as it's done respectfully.
Yeah, I never disrespect you when I call this program.
Proceed.
I find that you say always attacking you, right? On your program, I don't find nobody except me who disagrees with you. And that's not good for you. You know? You should have dissenting views from people. Not everybody agreeing with whatever you say. Hello?
We are listening.
Yeah. So that's my point. Another thing, you're talking about democracy, right? In your small way here, whenever I call, you cut me off. You know, you're facilitating the government in doing what they want to do because you're denying me. This is a public forum.
How much of this program you listened this morning? How much of this program you listened to this morning?
I was listening when you were speaking this morning.
Did you hear me say, parents provoke not your children to anger and children honor your parents?
Yeah, yes.
Do you understand anything that I was explaining there? This is you. This is a program. Let me explain this to you. This is a public program facilitated by me. This is my platform. You have here. Let me finish, the man. You are getting the opportunity. Note, it's an opportunity to express your sentiments on public issues facilitated by me. And if I find that you're disrespectful, I have the right to disconnect you. I don't owe you anything, sir.
I know, but what
Proceed.
kind of disrespect? I'm not agreeing with your views. That is disrespect.
But no. For example, when you called me this morning, how did you start your presentation?
Because you were harping, there's so many other issues.
You need to learn communication. I will take a few minutes and teach you. And I said it last week. Even if you have to chastise somebody, you start, or it is advisable to start with the positives. You called me as soon as I answered the phone. You are one of them toilet politicians.
No, because I know you're going to cut me off. That's why I try to be brief.
Caller, be brief with your dissent. We're listening. You got a few minutes more.
Yeah, I was saying, I spoke to you concerning your program. This program is going about 4 years now, right? And every year I ask you, what are your achievements? It's a rowing session every year, go year come. You're not achieving, anything. It's people only rowing between one another, year go year come. Nothing is coming out of this. You have to change your strategy, sir.
Caller, what do you recommend as a strategy?
You must allow people to rapport with you so that you can bring out, you should use me now as an agent to enhance your platform.
Caller.
Instead, you shut me down.
Caller, I gave you so far approaching 5 minutes to make to rapport with me. If you come here every morning for 4 years, I'm assuming you come here every morning for 4 years to listen to a program. You see, you're not a good listener. You're not a good listener. That's why you can't learn, and that's why I just cut you off.
All right, I'm listening.
Yeah. If for 4 years every morning you come here to listen to a program that is achieving nothing, I dare say you have a lot of time to waste. Please use your time productively. Unless there's something else you wish to say, you may take your leave.
All right, I can take my leave, man. You shut me out again.
I shut you out. I gave you an option. I'm sure you ain't got nothing else to say. Call your life. Yaga. Yes, sir.
Why you believe I tell a lot of people this country is not a real place? I wanted the color. I mean, I get personal. I would never get personal. I need to have a family that could share, fair, and square conversation and a discussion and a decision. Now you're not a dictator. You don't dictate what you have to say. You a man can know you program the day and I put you in another problem. You didn't say anything against nobody, for killing nobody or nothing. When what happened? You end up in front of the way. Who went in the lock up? Why are you going to lock up? Because your voice have been heard. And it started penetrating. But you know what happened? We have a small mindset. Come on, you listen to me carefully, my brother. I'm Guyanese. I listened to the event last night. I listened to the match last week where the little guy was shooting his foot. When the man father called him, I program and talk, what happened? I took that key. Tears come to my eyes last night at the night with the bench cup. Program with the Rasta guy from Board. We see someone shoot the man shoot up the guy foot. Tears come to my leg. Like, you're looking at me, son, or me family, what the case may be. No, you know what the master last night? I'm Mr. David show. Well, like people having an argument over this disagreement, but it's gonna say it's Big Mac with the. We're not because having a conversation over somebody disagree. That says ignorance. No, I want to call it. So I'm not discarding him. I want you to understand. If we cannot have a fair discussion and see the way forward, these are times in our lives. We understand that we play no part of this specific being smart. Now listen to this carefully. I listened to your US press conference. The man said, this is 1992. So no. It's 32 years since the government acknowledged the PNC government change. Out of the 32, PNC rules for 27 out of 22. And even if for 5 years after you were in power, you only were in power with 3.5 years because 3 years because they look at the promotion. They put them in power for 3 years or 3.5 years. Now you look at the percentage of things that happen within 2 years. The man said 85 to 88% they were in power out of the 2 years. How much of this person who call it, but the guy look at just now, sit down and analyze minus 5 from 32. See how much years you get. And you use your own judgment and ask yourself questions. Who was in power for majority of them years? Who do the foolishness with them years? I say PNC, you show me some 1492. Me represent nobody. But if you want to blame PNC what they do, that blame people. Because PPP were them for similar to 32 years. And they're doing worse and 100 times worse than what PNC do. And next thing, I'm telling Guyanese, what's that guy that drive the street in the street? You see who wanted right now? 3 men. See the age? 31. Here the youngest one, 18. Another one that was 12 years, he talked about the kids or 20 something years. What's the age? Who are these people? It's we African people again. People them using we, and there's vex when you call them house slave. There's vex when you use the word house slave because I like when the guy program from Grenada with Komi and Mr. Paslow and your football. You hear all these people calling in and disrespecting oneself. I call him, but Mr. Kadaki is a sad state. I just scaled it out in different areas. We can't talk a lot because we better short time to talk. Mr. Kadaki is a sad. You hear what they call it telling you. You contribute to nothing, you make it no sense. You know how much people listen to your program? If you can listen to him, if you can listen to him, I'll come let's to them after they listen to it. I want to know what's going on around me. He telling you teaching nobody nothing. They mean he's a dunce. If you teach nobody nothing, they're going to charge, they're going to put something on you or the people. Your words, the program, have to penetrate the mindset. And they ain't like that. They ain't like that. Because the people getting away of what's going on around. But they can't tell a man, you know, you're a man, that's a man. Or you're a man, that's your command. You're seeing it now. Last you say, you're a man, type of man. You're a man, type of man. Now you're seeing everything alive. And because your program edifying Guyanese and people becoming civilized, they are alive.
Thank you, Carl.
Yes, have a best day.
Let me tell you all something. I'm happy that the viewers themselves are responding to the person who believes that for 4 years we have achieved nothing. I always say, and I will repeat it, tree na get fruit, little boy in a pelton. It will be an asinine government, a group of stupid people. I mean, we got a whole lot of them in the PPP. But all of them is Shubidi, I guarantee you. It got to be a whole group of Shubidi people that will take the precious time and resources, including the Guyana police force, to always be on my case because I'm achieving nothing with this platform. I tell you all a story. It is alleged. Let me say it is alleged. I didn't get it. They said in a moment by him. That when I started doing this, a few mornings into me doing this, it is alleged that Freddie Kisoon tell his friends over at PPP, you see that man on social media, you gotta do something about him. Because they're influencing the minds of the citizen. Apparently, the PPP didn't take him seriously until the PPP really started seeing the impact of what we do. And so they decide they're going to come and they're going to chop left, right, and center, and they're going to break down, and they're going to destroy, and they're going to oppress. I know, and you know, and people on this program know how empowered people are as a result of Camps TV. How empowered they are. And the empowerment continues. And so it has reduced the pool of people that the PPP can go to really trash. And I'm convinced in my mind that they're that same clown that calls here to tell me foolishness. It's a matter of time for him to wake up and smell the coffee. But like I said, I'm a positivist. I'm always enthusiastic. His day will come for it. So they don't bother me when they come and try to beat me down. I'm not that type. I ain't got what was the word? I ain't got issues.
Yes, Kadaki, a blessed morning to you and your viewers, my brother. As per normal, anytime I come on this program, I tend to use the word how disgusted I am with what is transpiring in this country. I have noticed a post on the social media concerning the handing over of the Yarrakabla School and the Soosdijk-Linden Highway, and a photograph pertaining to what the complex looks like. First and foremost, I would like to make the record straight because the dunce and his wild hag, I was made to understand, stood on the podium and said that the Yarrakabla multi-purpose secondary school is a conception of the PPP. Lie, lie, lie. It is Granger's administration who started that complex. And if anybody wants to refute what I say, just visit the area where the school is, and obliquely opposite you will see piles of white sand stored there. BK got that contract.
Call hold the line, please. Can you hold the line? Call it, please hold the line. Can you?
Yeah, morning, Mr. Amsterdam.
Please hold the line. I have a few seconds to complete this voice note. You'll talk after.
Okay, then, all right. Thank you.
And he started the project. When APNU was forced out of government, they took away the contract from BK. The complex is only about half completed when it comes to structures. And I've been reliably informed by friends, parents, and all of those who are presently associated with the school. The school don't have furniture. The library, rat can pass through it. It's empty. There is no textbooks in the school. The school does not have furniture. It is all about a photo op. It is time Guyanese come to recognize that this administration is just making a fool of the populace because people are sitting down and accepting their foolish, blatant, ungodly, unscrupulous lies The Duns and the Wilag was there and expressed those same sentiments, which are total lie. Anyhow, that's all I need to bring to the public attention this morning. May God have mercy on this nation. Kadaki, may God also continue to bless you with health, strength, wisdom, and courage to carry on with this program. Have a blessed day. Bye.
Thank you for your blessings. Call your life.
Yes, Mr. Tom.
Go right ahead.
Hello.
You have to speak to me. You don't listen to whatever you're playing in your background.
Okay. I am a resident of Denhamsdale. Right now, they're doing a road in Lanchifine Street, Denhamsdale, leading to the ball field. This road had the width that 2 vehicles could have passed clearly. And they bring it in, I guess it's about 14 to 15 feet. And now they bring it into 10. We cannot accept that as residents because it have a lot of vehicles living in this street. Right? Yesterday morning, 2 vehicles, one coming in, one going out. There's south and north. Right? One going out, one coming in. Nobody moving, they just stop. I is the person who go out and say, man, one got to reverse and let one throw in the tail. There's on my knees bridge, which I'm supposed to carry that living there. But I just let it go in just to the other vehicle pass. This is the road that every event it have at the ball field, people use. Right? Every event that it have, people use. And we cannot accept this because it can cause problem. Because the time can come when nobody will reverse, nobody will move, and this one we cannot accept anything. So I just called to enlighten you what is going on. Well, yesterday morning we still with a protest, but they didn't come to work. So this morning they come and we out there, but we stop the work. So one device when the engineer come, we have to have a talk. So I just called to let y'all know what's really going on in the Denhamsdale.
Thank you. So, thank you, caller.
Okay then, thanks. Bye.
I tell you something. I happened to drive down Lusignan Prison Road, as they say, the other day. And I was with a friend and I was saying to that individual, I want you to notice how this road in Lusignan is being constructed. Compare it to how roads in Buxton and Bachelor's Adventure and Beirut and Melanie and BV and all the African Guyanese villages are being constructed. Y'all go visit Lusignan for yourselves and see the width with which the road is being built. And come to Buxton at Company Road, for example, and see the width with which it is being built. And both of them are main access roads. Both of them are main access roads. I got a complaint yesterday. I'm waiting for the photographs on my Coney site. Because I understand the government is building beautiful roads in an Indian community on the border of an African Guyanese community, but they're suffering. Can you believe that it is still happening? Well, I know it is still happening. Remember, there was a time when I took to the streets to highlight all of these discriminatory infrastructure work projects going on. Maybe I have to go there again. Maybe I'll have to go there again because it continues. But people like those who call and say, Mr. Amsterdam, for 4 years, you didn't achieve nothing. They don't perhaps acknowledge how my campaign on those roads have brought a lot of difference in the areas that they weren't building roads. I guess I'll have to go back out there. The PPP knows what I'm achieving. And that is why they try left, right, and center to shut me up. I was hoping to show you 2 videos, and maybe we'll have to. Well, Aubrey Norton comes on Friday. Let me remind you that Aubrey Norton comes on Friday. So maybe I'll have to wait until next week to discuss those two videos. One is a teacher preparing a classroom for the new term and explaining all that she has invested in that classroom, including painting the classroom because it was unkempt. Including painting the classroom, please keep that in mind. A responsibility of the government she has taken on. And the video that is circulating with the students having to, teachers and students having to come out, evacuate is the word I would want to use, or abandon the Annandale Primary School to come out into the open for the want of fresh air. And this is why I talk about the folks in the PPP not having an iota of knowledge when it comes to management. Yeah, let me tell them it is management I was talking about when I said plan, organize, influence, and control. A lot of them don't even recognize that. Because here it is, there's a health advisory or even a weather advisory that's saying the period from September, I think, on to November is going to be the hottest period in the Caribbean, including Guyana. But we got schools that are box ovens, and the dunces, Satira Gal and all our merry men couldn't project that they ought to ensure that the schools are, number one, well ventilated, and number two, have cooling systems. Otherwise, they're going to end up with serious problems for both staff and learners. And then there was just an example. And I must commend the parent or teacher who made that video and published it so that the world can see what these dunces and kleptocrats, thieves and vagabonds are subjecting our learners and educators to. They ain't got an iota sense to project. Here it is, we are giving an advisory. The government has issued the advisory about taking the necessary steps to prevent, as I would say, heat strokes and other such issues because of the high temperatures that will be expected over a prolonged period of time. But they have not taken any steps to ensure that the schools and classrooms and public places can be cooled so that people will be relieved when they have reasons to go there. Call it life.
Yeah, good morning to Dr. The villager who announced that problem, I am glad I walked through that part of the village yesterday, and a little fine also. And when I was coming back, she said, I'm glad to see you. And I said, here now, bam, you got to do this. And I was glad she was able to get in. And I openly, I can attend to the fact about the narrowness of the road. Once while standing there, we had the same problem develop again with two vehicles in the opposite direction. And as she rightly says, that road is the road that would accept things to go to the ball field when you got certain functions, you got vehicles parked on either side when you got the big funeral at the church that is up at the ending of the road. So what she and other persons along with me are highlighting, it is the fact it will cause a problem moving along. Now with the schools, over the years, within the past 3 years, the regime refurbished the Fellowship Technical Drawing School and Woodwork School, and they replaced it with a spanking new building, concrete. The eastern walls of the building, where you would put windows, it's a solid wall. No kind of ventilation, no nothing. And I spoke and said, how can you build a building and you don't let natural air come into the building from the eastern side? You know, they said they have engineers. And that is where you see the quality of engineers in Guyana. Because if they had engineers, they would have understand the science of global warming, and they would have been building buildings that could have natural ventilation. Now what they are doing in schools now, they're going and seal up all the windows and they're sticking in a set of ACs in the school. That is a disaster waiting to happen. I could remember St. Mary's School on Regent on Brickdam and Camp Street. I thought the American soldiers built this school and they put a set of fans in the school. And within the first term, all the fans went. By the time the mid-second term, the school closed down because it was poorly ventilated. There is a school at Virgin Nugent. The eastern and the northern wall block up concrete, and the children are in sweltering heat. You know, when you talk about these atrocities in Guyana, the first thing they jump up and say that you don't want to see the country progress. How can you see a country progress that does not have a proper electrical supply? So hold and to push things to cool down the system and the cooling units because of the amount of heat that is circulating in the world. The cooling units, after a few seconds of cooling a place, they start to generate heat into the place. So I don't know what will happen in this country. And when you talk now, the slightest thing they say, once they believe you talking about the White House, they could charge you for cybercrime. We have got to stick down though. Kadaki, lastly, I noticed a thing, I think it's like Cash Up or Revit name. One of these money places, like it has been hacked. Because steady people would call me or send me a message telling me if I was to get 5,000 or 10,000 from my Cash App, what will I do? So I believe there is a scam now within Cash App, and I don't know if you are aware of it, but please be on the lookout because I got about over 10 notifications that I have so much money in my Cash App, and I don't have that. So that is it. Bye-bye.
I see why this guy shouting. Yeah, I don't like when they shout at Rhonda. I called Rhonda 3 times to educate her or to ask her a question. She ain't stopped yet to listen to me. Anyhow, I don't think Rhonda is accurate. I don't know that Rhonda has Cash App. Cash App is an overseas-based facility. It's used in the US in particular. I don't know if she's talking about MMG, but I'm sure she doesn't have Cash App. Or maybe I'm wrong, but I think she doesn't have Cash App. And as I'm talking about Cash App, thank you, Brent. And Wesley, thank you for your visits to Cash App. Vanilla, thank you. Priska, thank you. Those are yesterday's and today's combined. Yeah, thank you for your visits to Cash App. Yeah, we were talking about schools. While the lines remain open, we were talking about schools. In fact, I have a voice note. Let me play it and then I'll come back to
Good morning, Kalaki. Good morning, viewers. Just 2 questions. Does the government have the right to change the Cybercrime Act, or they have to go to the Constitution, because the Constitution gives freedom of speech? And if you go into the Constitution of Guyana, you have to pass it through Parliament and amend the Constitution and get a Constitution reform. Now, the Cybercrime Act is being made up of I'm forgetting this again.
United Nations, United Nations is the people that come to the Cybercrime Act. And Guyana signed on to the Cybercrime Act through the United Nations. So the United Nations has to amend that part and include it inside the Cybercrime Act. Then Guyana gets freedom of speech. So if it's anything, they got to go to the court before they could change up. So I know was a big off and puff. That's my take. I just want to know if I'm right or wrong there.
Thank you, Rosamond and Keith. When they talk about amending an act of law, they usually have to go to the National Assembly. They don't sit down in no office and amend no. Right? They have to go to the National Assembly to do that amendment. Good. And talking about the reflex action, because that's what they call it, government by reflex of the PPP. I'm reading here that following the deaths of the two young ladies at some creek on the highway there, the PPP and their operatives just wake up and they have given instructions. They have given instructions for a number of safety measures to be put in place. According to what I'm reading, of all of the creeks and so on the east, what we call them, Suicide Clinton Highway, only 10 of them are properly registered with the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, what is the purpose of the Environmental Protection Agency? These facilities are not in space, they are not on Mars. Does the EPA have offices, environmental offices? These are recreational facilities. Does the EPA have a responsibility to go out and ensure that they're operating in keeping with the environmental standards so set? No. People got dead 2, 3, 4 times a year before the EPA and the PPP decides, well, here, it is time to address this issue. Only now they're instructing them that they got to get like boys and they got to get floating rings or whatever they call them, and like guards and people trained in CPR, and the areas must be well marked and so on. What y'all been doing all the time? Sleeping at the wheel and stealing the people's resource? Or is it a case of government friends, favorite, and cronies being able or allowed to do as they like, and so the agencies which are responsible for enforcement cannot function to ensure that these people toe the line? You all determine for yourself. It's 9:01. It's a minute after 9. I have to prepare to go. But there are lots of other things that we'll continue to talk about this week. Remember, Orbinon comes on Friday. Orbinon comes on Friday. I'm saying it publicly. I hope he comes with his A game. I'm collecting questions. Those of you who want to send me questions, I'm collecting questions so I can talk on your behalf. I was considering in my mind whether or not you have to be a financial contributor to the program before you're allowed to ask a question. But this isn't a democracy. This is not pay to play. This is a people's station. So now you can send me some questions so I can, as they say, I can vet them before they're asked. I don't want nobody come and put me in no embarrassing situation. Good. There's something else I want to talk to you about, and it's a big one. Oh, I know what it is. There's a list that's making the rounds of lands that were taken away from Black people and given to friends and favorites of the PPP. We'll talk about that. I'm a man, I like to get all my ducks lined up, as I like to say. I want to be able to show you who the lands were given to, taken from, and given to. The PPP like to say, bring the evidence. I like to bring the evidence. And that is why I will remain a bother to them. I got somebody I want to tell good morning. Should I? I don't think I should. I ain't gonna tell him good morning no more. Just remember on the 27th, yes, the 27th of this month, doors open at 7 o'clock. It is Friday Laugh. Friday Night Laughs with Chow Po. Yes, Chow Po and John B. Jones. I'll come down. There's a little charge of $500. Why there's that little charge of $500? We would like to make it free, but you know what? Talent fee is expensive. And so we have to get some assistance to offset the talent fee. We can't offset the talent fee, all of it from our pocket. So you will have to assist because you will get a part of the laughs too, right? And of course, there's open mic. Like I said, this Friday night is going to be September 27th, is going to be like a karaoke of comedies because it's not only the two headliners, John B. Jones and Chow Po, that will be performing. Anybody in the audience who has a joke to share, believe that they can outdo the two of them, you're free to take the mic. So come on down on the 27th and let's have that karaoke of comedies. It's called Friday Night Laughs. Yes, it's a big comedy show. Now, what is wrong with y'all? Somebody is asking me if it's going to be live. Now, if it's going to be live, who is paying for it? Let's stop. I got a voice note. Let me play it, and then we're going to come back to that. If it is going to be live, who is paying for it?
Kadaki, blessings and good morning to you and your listeners. Kadaki, this morning, I want to touch on something here that it mightn't go down well. But this Attorney General proving to the world that he's a racist.
Only now?
Kadaki, the person who called Miss Cathy Hughes a low life, who done that? Is the black talk show host? Who called the indigenous people Buckman and all these derogative words? Is the black talk show host? Who chatting Kaicho News and was using a sort of obscene language? Is the black talk show host? Kakaraki, who deny the Haitians and them from coming into Guyana? Is the black talk show host? Karaki, by what it clear to see that this man is a racist, and all this cybercrime law that you want to implement and all these kind of things is for black people. It's for black people. He come like Donald Trump. He want America to be white again. He want Guyana to be Indians again. So people, all you wake up. You see how Africa waking up? All you have to wake up. Have a good one.
Thank you. What was I about to say? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, I was about to say, or I was saying, who gonna pay for this live? Come on, man. Every day, let me get a little atrocious. Every day they begging you to contribute to the cash app for this program. You all hardly want to contribute. A whole lot of you hardly want to contribute. Hardly want to contribute. And so you all expect people to do work. How I can pay for this thing? You want me to tell you all the truth? It is very expensive to host those two comedians. It is very expensive. I'm not going to tell you the cost, but I love theater. I love comedy. It's something I usually try to expose people to some of the things that I love. Right? And so I can understand some of you want to see what's going on and so on, but who paying for your attendance? I got an option. Why don't we go Zoom? pay a fee and I'll feed you directly through Zoom. So we're gonna do a multi-camera shoot, and you're going to be in the live performances via Zoom. You will only get the link to Zoom based on if you pay or not. Can we do that? Pay-per-view? Yeah, that's what we call it, pay-per-view. Good. Or if you all got any other right? If you all got any other ideas, y'all could share it. Yeah, Harriet will say, I'll be very honest with you. For a performance like that, to make financial sense to Club Twilight, patrons will have to pay something like $2,000, which is 10 US. Minimum $2,000, 10 US. But we are introducing the concept. And so, we're introducing the concept. We don't want to be too harsh on patrons. Because the thing is, the people would come here on Thursday night for karaoke. That's totally free. They don't pay to come into karaoke. Right? The people will come here on a regular Friday to sit and have a drink and so. And so you don't really want to make it arduous on them. You don't want to make it prohibitive. Yes. A man might really be coming to drink you 2 beers. But then because there's a comedy show, you don't want to prevent him from drinking his 2 beers. So, all right, man, level 500 at the door. You understand what I'm saying, right? So it's a people's place too. Just as this people's place program is a people's place. You don't want to really restrict people from benefiting from the relief that you're trying to provide for them. But of course, we have to understand that we have to pay for some of the things that are going to perhaps benefit us. Comical relief is a good thing, trust me. Relief your stress through comedy and so on is a good thing. So that is why we chose the $500 tab. Depending on how it goes, we might have to increase the tab or just stop the comedy Fridays altogether. But it's a once a month Friday comedy, and it starts on the 27th. So support it. Those of you who have an interest in us live streaming it to YouTube, Zoom, talk. Let's make an arrangement so you can pay, and we will allow you to get to see the show. But I will tell you, I'm not going to go Facebook Live with it unless some kind of arrangements could be worked out where y'all really pay. Y'all really pay for it. Right? Should I set an amount that if I get that amount from subscribers, we'll just do it on Facebook Live? Yeah, we can do that, but the amount got to be worth the time. It got to be worth at least the fees of this performance. Y'all have a good day. Much love. I'm going to see y'all sometime tomorrow. Is Dr. Hines tomorrow, and then the finance man, Winston Jordan, Thursday, and Friday is Aubrey Norton. Good? So, have a good day. Spread the word about everything. The Friday last, spread the word about Aubrey Norton coming onto the program on Friday. Spread the word. Spread the word. Keep sharing the program. They say we're not achieving much, but we're achieving. That is what is important. Keep moving. Rolling Stone ain't gonna gather no mass. They ain't gonna bug me down. Love you all. Stay good.